Welcome to the virtual summit session titled Measurements That Matter, KPIs to Track During Any Business Season, featuring our panel of awesome Conquer coaches. This session is going to provide invaluable insights and actionable strategies for tracking key performance indicators, KPIs, in multiple business stages across sales, marketing, and employee performance. Join us as we dive into the metrics that truly drive success and empower you to make the most informed decisions possible for your business. Let's get started.
So we're going to do some introductions here. If you think about it, like I said, a dashboard on a plane. We might be flying a Cessna. We might be riding a bike. Our coaches that you have with us today, these guys have ran 7-figure businesses, multiple locations, over 50 employees. Their dashboard, it's cool to see what it is. Maybe it's more complicated than you think. Maybe it's less. Sometimes simplicity is the best. So I'll introduce myself first. I'm Coach Brandon Godden. I operate a 7-figure window cleaning and exterior cleaning business. Started when I was 20 years old. It runs remotely. I live 1,000 miles away. I've been married for 13 years in February. And so I run that business remotely. Me and my wife, we built it to have time freedom. What Brandon Vaughn ultimately talked about this morning, that's our wealth, that time freedom. We love it. I enjoy coaching. And yeah, that's basically my introduction. And then I'm going to go now to Brandon Lazar. This is a great friend of mine. Brandon, why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background in business.
Sounds good. Well, first off, super humbled and honored to be here, so thank you, everyone. For 15 years, I owned and operated a hyper-seasonal business, and I call it hyper-seasonal intentionally. It wasn't just seasonal, it was hyper-seasonal. And I'm actually located in the west coast of Canada as well. So when it got busy all at once, so we had to really systematize our business. To give you a reference point, my business would go from 2 technicians in February to 32 technicians in May every single year. And I would be lucky if I looked around that circle and there were 6 returning faces. So as you can imagine, I had to really leverage the power of systems in that environment. And at the end of the day, on the heels of what we heard about this morning, I had to control my controllables, right? That was just my reality. And at that point, I had a decision to make, right? Either curl up and just, blame the external factors, that it gets too busy too quick, can't keep people through the winter, whatever, or I would figure out a way, a solution. And to Caleb's talk, that learning management software, that is gold. If you don't have something like that, start somewhere. Even if it's you filming yourself with an iPhone, like those training systems are absolute gold. Fast forward to March of last year, I actually had the opportunity to sell my service business. So I like to be very open and transparent, and when I do that, I'm not doing it to brag, okay? I think it's really important to create validity because you can listen to a lot of different people in 2024, right? So in full transparency, my last year of operation, we did $1.5 million in top line revenue. We netted $510,000, and my sale price was $1.545 million, and that was all up front. So there's no earnout. We did a little bit of owner-vendor take-back financing, but it was pegged against a very high interest rate. And that was my exit. What that did is it allowed me to focus on some passion projects that I have. So obviously, coaching through Conquer is a great avenue, and I see it as a tremendous opportunity for give back. I rewind, 10 years ago, listening to Josh Latimer as I was driving, Brandon Vaughn, and those guys were hugely instrumental in my early days. So the coaching is an awesome opportunity to give back. But I also have 2 other passion projects. So one does performance pay bonus systems for home service businesses and trades businesses. It's called Bonus Up. And another one is called Ninja VA, which does virtual assistant placements for the home services and for the trades. Past that, I have a loving wife of 7 years. I live on an 85-acre ranch. We had 13 cows, 6 chickens, and I have a beautiful little daughter. She's 2 years old, and a son who's 4.
Awesome. Give it up for Brandon.
Hey guys, my name's Coach Chris. I'm founder of Alpine Maids in Denver, Colorado. We have about 50 employees, just under, I think we're like 47, 48. About to kick over that line. I'm really excited about it. As Brandon said, just want to let you guys know why you should listen to me. Like, let's not doing this just to brag, but letting you guys know where I am and how I got there. So just about to tick past 50 employees, all W-2, all about full-time. We're doing just under 3 million top line revenue, and we have a healthy profit margin, which is, I think, really difficult in the maid service industry, especially. Who here, do you guys do maybe like over $100 an hour per employee? Anybody? Yeah, I do about 70, right? So it takes a lot of employees to make money with maids, and you have to manage a lot of employees, and that's always been my biggest struggle, is how do I get that one person to manage 15, 20 employees, and KPIs are immensely helpful with that. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I have a 2-year-old Jack, I'm gonna have a daughter, Lily, in a month, 2 weeks, something like that.
Wow.
Real soon. And I am a Conquer coach, and my business gives me time to be here and to coach. And what I love about it, and I think what's already been said today, is the best way to learn something is to teach it. And that's why I'm here. I love it.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. So we got a lot that we can talk about this afternoon, but maybe if we look at the bingo board here and you look at some of these things when it comes to KPIs, main challenges, maintenance, important ones, callbacks, metrics. Is there anything that jumps out to you? What did you come here to get this? Important KPIs. Anything else? Team transparency. Okay. And maintaining. Amazing. So that's kind of actually what we broke it down to. So maybe we'll break it down into 3. We're going to have our panel kind of discuss some of these questions. We'll break it down into 3 different categories. So maybe the fundamentals. So important KPIs, like what are the main ones we should be tracking, depending on different avenues in our business. And then I think one thing that a lot of people struggle with is how to build the infrastructure to make that happen, to track it. Because if we're spending 5 hours a week tracking it, is it really benefiting our business that much? Hard to say, right? We want to be able to have something that's automated. And then finally, maintenance, how to maintain those KPIs, how to be able to look at it weekly or monthly, the systems that we use in our businesses to do that. So when it comes into to the fundamentals or important KPIs, we're going to go to our panel for that. So Brandon, in your business, in your home service business that you owned, what were some of the non-negotiable KPIs that you had that you could tell right away if your business was healthy, that you relied on, that you met with your team, weekly, monthly on? Why don't you take us through that?
Yeah, so I think the first and foremost is making sure I had the capacity in order to meet the demand that would come through each season. Again, going back to February, I'm starting at 2. So one of the KPIs was literally how many active people do I have on the roster per week, broken down, okay? That is a form of a KPI, and it's actually incredibly important because at the end of the day, as a service business, you sell the proceeds of your technician's time. And I paused for a long time there because that's really important to realize. If you have no technicians, you have no time to sell, and therefore you're going to be drastically hindered in terms of what you can produce in a given week, month, season, etc.
Randy,
So,
can you say that one more time again? What you just said? Week, month, no, just we sell the proceeds.
oh yeah, sorry. You sell the proceeds of your technician's time. Yeah. You might be gifted or lucky enough to have a little bit of cost of goods sold. If you're an HVAC, maybe you sell an AC unit or something. But for the most part, you're selling the proceeds of their time, right? So if they're highly productive, they're going to be more valuable. Yeah. And that's why I created bonus on it.
So if we dive into that, so capacity. So capacity is a KPI, right? Capacity as a percentage per week or per month? What did you guys do?
So I think percentage, you can really approach it from a couple different stances, but ultimately, each crew on the road has an amount that they can contribute in revenue. And the concept is we want to reverse engineer back from what our monthly goal was that we set out in our Conquer budget. And we can walk that back to the point to say, we need 5 crews on the road in this month on average in order to achieve our goals. So I think you can do it on a percentage basis or account basis. Whatever your approach is, though, it's really important that you stay on that schedule. The other main takeaway here that I have is your ability to expand and contract with the seasonality is everything. Particularly if you live in the Midwest or somewhere where it is hyper-seasonal, like what was the case with myself. Expansion's important so you take opportunities when they come your way. Contraction's important so you stay lean and mean. Because if you have a bunch of people on payroll and they don't have the respective amount of revenue to show for themselves, to your earlier point, you're going to be in a really rough place when it comes to profit and loss review at the end of the month.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Chris, how about you?
I'd love to build on that capacity that you're measuring. We also measure efficiency. So let's say my guy can do $1,000 a week, just throwing that out there. And they're working 6 productive hours a day. Well, as my people are with me longer and they get better at their job, they might get finished with their day sooner. And they might be able to knock out that 6 hours in 5 hours. And so we want to be tracking like, hey, percentage-wise, can you get 6 hours of work done in 5 hours or even 4 hours? And then what should we be doing with your extra time? Can we throw extra work on you? And we're increasing our capacity because we're increasing our efficiency. So I'm kind of taking it down a little bit of a rabbit hole here and adding KPIs on KPIs, but the basis of this one is just how many hours of work did you bill out to the client, and how long did it actually take your person to do that work? And you have to clock them into every job, right, and measure that.
And the final thing I'll say on that vein is we know vehicles are expensive to put on the road, depending on the equipment you have to outfit them with. Through what Chris is talking about here, you can actually really dramatically leverage yourself without having to dig into the bank account to put a whole nother work vehicle on. I've seen some of my Conquers, they'll run slightly longer days for 4 days a week. And then they'd have 2 shifts. So that work vehicle will actually go out, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with a new crew. Or something like that, where you're getting creative with your capacity based on the inputs and the assets that you have and being as efficient as possible as a result.
That's amazing. Thank you, guys. Yeah, for us, capacity was a huge one. We would always have a big whiteboard up in the shop. And we would always write, we had our big top line sales goal for that month. And then we would have the capacity, what we had left. And that was updated every single day by our team and is still updated every single day. So you have to know what that gap is and then what your capacity is. So you always have to keep that target. What about when it comes to quality? Like, as Brandon mentioned, what we're putting out there, we're selling the service, right? We're selling the labor. It's not a product for the most part. Most of the businesses here in Concord, it's services. So when it comes to making sure that the product, the service that we're putting out is good, especially if we're not part of the business anymore, we want to make sure that, customers are happy. If we want to let go of it, maybe we're worried that what's happening out there in the field. Are there some KPIs that you guys use in order to determine if the quality of your output is acceptable or where it needs to be?
Yeah, so I kind of have 2 things to mention here. So first off, I knew my employee avatar was a 19 to 23-year-old, okay? Who here employs that cohort? Give or take? Okay. So I knew that avatar fairly well, and I knew that they were very impressionable, okay? Meaning that I had to spell out what was important for us. And I think to a degree, that's important for every business owner to instill and to communicate, right? But for us, it came down to, we have 4 priorities, and they happen in this order on every single job, okay? First and foremost was safety, okay? If we're gonna go out there and hurt ourselves, or worse, then let's just not go do it today, Okay, we have to guarantee that we're going to go home. And some of the work that we do from the businesses in this room are dangerous, right? When you're dealing with ladders and roofs, stuff like that, it's dangerous. Not to mention, all of us drive for work. We don't just drive to and from work, we drive for work, meaning our exposure on the road is very high. Safety, first and foremost, right? Number 2 is customer service. It's more about how we make our customer feel versus what we actually do for them. Very, very important to distinguish. The third one then is quality, okay? And the fourth one is productivity. Smooth is fast. It's like being a race car driver, right? But if we don't do it in that order, then we're gonna get out of sorts and we're gonna get very poor outcomes, potentially, right? Relating to a specific KPI takeaway, we religiously monitored our callback percentage, okay? And we did it as a percentage, because if I say, oh man, we got 5 callbacks last month, what does that mean? Is that a good thing? That could be like a record low, or that could be like, holy smokes. Exactly, it could be 5 out of 5. We're batting 100% callbacks. So let's avoid that. So we always expressed it as a percentage. And even above and beyond that, we also looked at what was the opportunity cost of those callbacks, right? Because if I got to go back and touch up a window and I'm in and out in 10 minutes versus, oh, I don't know, someone leaving a ladder up against a roof and it falls and it dings the person's boat. True story. Very different outcomes, right? So KPIs as far as callbacks go.
Yeah, I want to build on that that quality score. So do you guys survey clients 1 to 5? How do we do? Yeah. We do it too, and in Maids, what's really important is maintaining customers for a long time. We want to keep coming back every week, every 2 weeks, and keep you as a client, right? And so there was a while where we had a really high quality score. I'm like, yeah, we have like 98% quality, but we're losing a lot of clients. And what I realized is we're cleaning really well. Like everything in the house is really clean, and maybe the client's finding the one little thing that we don't know about, that if that's not clean, they're not happy. And so we started chasing response rate, how many of our clients are rating us. And what I found is that by encouraging our staff to get that quality score, they're interacting with our clients, and they're by default delivering customer service. And so the response rate ended up being more important than the quality score that our clients were returning back to us.
Awesome. That's amazing feedback. Yeah. So those are in terms of in quality. Maybe we'll just stick where it seems like we're going into more of the operations side, and we'll get to the sales marketing KPIs as well. But in terms of operations, if we're looking at, if you guys are looking at your technicians, your team, what KPIs were you using to track them or review with them in an employee review to let them know if they were doing well or if they weren't doing well? And how would you make that transparent to your team? Is there anything that you could add for that?
Yeah, so one of the topics that we might have time to talk about is the team transparency, right? And I think it's a big debate, and it's not to say one way is right or wrong, but I think there is a divide in that, employees are exposed to the revenue figures, or like what I did in my company, we broke it back down into what the input expectations were. Right? So we established a term called crew hours, and essentially on every work order they would see square bracket to square bracket, and that annotated that the expectation based on the quote is we're to be in and out in 2 hours based on what we priced the job at. Okay? That avoided the need to be like, hey guys, you're here to make us $1,200, and I think there's a whole nother conversation that I hope we can get into. But it set the expectations very clearly. So that's the approach that we took.
Were you asking for team?
You can go into transparency if you want, or it could be even with talking with your managers to know whether your techs, your maids are doing well or not. Like whether you have to let this person go or meet with them. What was the red flags? What was the good?
Yeah, it's just the big four, right? I think a lot of you want to play into your strengths as a business owner, right? And so you can either be meticulous and rate your people on a lot of different things. I go the other way, where we have the big four. how many days have you missed? What's your quality score? What's your response rate from clients? And what's your productivity efficiency that I spoke to earlier? Those are the 4 biggest, most important things that I find. If our employees are good in these 4 areas, they're going to be good employees.
Awesome.
Can you slow that down? Yeah, slow it down. We need those 4 on paper so we can look at it.
Yeah, thanks. Quality score is rated by clients, 1 to 5. How did we do today? How happy are you with your service? Response rate. What percentage of your clients returned that score? And that one's really important. It's the one I just spoke to because it encourages our maids to interact with the clients. And if the clients aren't there, then they're leaving a note saying, hey, it would really mean a lot to me if you could let them know how I did today. Call outs. How many days of work are they missing last minute? Do they show up? Are they a reliable employee? And then, what was the last one? Productivity, right? How quickly can you complete jobs?
And that last one, like to that earlier point, at the end of the day, we sell the proceeds of our technicians' time. The productivity is how we ultimately measure it, right? I like to express it as a dollars per hour of revenue, okay? At the end of the day, I think it's really important that you know what you're shooting for, and this will vary depending on where you're located, what service you provide, and ultimately how you want to run your business, right? Ultimately speaking, your pricing is a part of your branding, okay? I think a lot of people don't realize that, but your pricing is a part of your branding. So we need to know what are the arches that we're shooting for here on a dollars per hour of revenue, and then I think from there you can extrapolate per technician or per employee. What are they coming in at, right, in terms of dollars per hour of revenue?
I love that. Yeah. So every week in our business, we had a sheet that I built. It was just a spreadsheet, a simple thing to fill out. It had operations KPIs, office KPIs. We ended up switching that out to monthly for that one. And so now what I'm doing with my general manager is having him go in and pull that data. So when it came to the operations side of things, we would do callback rate, like Brandon said, as a percentage. Usually wanted to be under 5%, under 3% is really good. And that could be included in an operations manager bonus. That could be a partial part of his bonus to maintain that quality. We would do labor percentage to know that we're being profitable. Labor percentage was probably one of the most important ones in my industry. Then we also do what he would call the crew hour. So dollars per hour in window cleaning, pressure washing. So we had washing trucks, and we have window cleaning, gutter cleaning trucks. We split it up that way. Each one was a different hourly rate. And so we would look at that for each crew each week. Okay, so we're running out of time here. I want to go into something that's really important. I think when it comes to setting up this infrastructure to track. So like I said, I'm asking my general manager to go in there and pull this data. And I want him to be able to do that very quickly. If anything, I would love that data to be right in front of him. But of course, there's so many different software out there. There's so many different ways of tracking and all of that. I'd like to open up to the coaches. Do you have any advice when it comes to setting up tracking, especially for like somebody at the base level, and then maintaining those KPIs to make it actually sustainable and not take your whole weekend just to see your labor percentage or these things?
Yeah, and I think you got to be careful here when you get into this because you can get carried away really quickly, right? Mm-hmm. We can have 98 different KPIs that are super tedious to maintain, and they ultimately don't actually get us closer to the point of instilling them to begin with, right? So I would say just focus on the maintainability and almost use that as like your binary switch to begin with, right? If something's going to take you 4 or 5 hours per week to just grab the information, that's tough, right? That's awkward. But then beyond that, I go to what are the most important things? What guarantees our survival here? And you really want to start on that inner core of the onion, and then beyond that, we can start to move out and out and out into things that are, maybe more fun to know, but not like super crucial to understand and to guarantee, right? For an example, average crew tenure, right? You could have that. That's actually one of the KPIs in Bonus Up is on average, how many days have each of our technicians worked? Fun to know. Does it guarantee my success and my survival tomorrow? Probably not, right?
Cool.
Yeah, when you're getting started, I just want to think about what does the business need? What's the thing that I know needs to happen? Because we all know what gets measured gets done. So even if it's just one thing, it's going to hold you accountable to making sure that you're improving that thing. And one thing we've kind of been touching on that I'm gleaning from this is maybe lead and lag indicators. So like callbacks, that's a lag indicator, right? You're getting callbacks, something's going wrong. Well, that response rate that I'm speaking to is more of a lead indicator. If we can get that response rate up, I know that my lag indicator, the callbacks, is going to improve. So you can kind of start by measuring the lag. Like let's measure revenue, right? We want more money for the business. And then you want to think about the leads that you can put into that to start increasing that revenue.
Love it. 5 minutes. Yeah. My suggestion, and then we'll go into a Q&A. So then we can really get into your questions. But my suggestion, if you're starting from the ground level on this, is write down based on your goals, keep it to like 5 simple KPIs, maybe a couple in each division. Write down what you want to track, and I like to kind of mind map it out. Like, so for us, for example, I wanted to track leads per week because I wanted to see when things started dropping off. That was one massive one. It'd be like 65, 62, 47. Whoa, what's happening? Next thing I'd go in is look at, okay, what's my cost per lead per channel, right? What's my cost per lead per channel? Is that starting to go up? We're monitoring that all the time to make sure. And then next thing is close rate. Like, where's the close rate at? And so when it comes to, I want to open this up to Brandon because I think you have a lot to speak on this, being that you come from both the software side and, the ops, like being out there. Having a window cleaning business, what advice could you give in terms of somebody who's maybe not that great with software or having a hard time connecting it all together, like where they could start with being able to get that stuff? Because you got your CRMs, you've got these go high level Dunzo automations, you've got virtual assistants now, you've got all this different things. Like, how do you see most high level entrepreneurs tracking this stuff?
Yeah, so to start, again, let's just keep it basic, right? And again, that dollars per hour revenue is incredibly important. I was on a one-on-one recently with one of my conquerors, and he was shooting for $50 an hour. And after reworking that target, we established that it needs to be like $75 an hour in order to hit his profitability, right? Like, there's no quicker way, because ultimately when we look at our profit and loss at the end of the month, that's just a composition of a bunch of little jobs and some big jobs, and then some more little jobs, right? So if we're misquoting or mistargeting each individual job, guess what happens at the end of the month, right? It's gonna be off, right? So I think there's kind of 2 ways to really affect your profitability, and I would vote to say that profitability is the most important thing. It'll guarantee that we're here tomorrow, right? Efficiently producing the work and pricing the work properly. If either of those things are off, or both, our profitability on that job is gone, right? Very, very important to realize.
Yeah. Awesome. Chris, anything to add?
Not really. I think that's it. End of the day, those are the 2 lag indicators to look at to make sure you're profitable, and that's what's important.
We hope the insights shared today have provided you with valuable perspectives on tracking key performance indicators in your business. Remember, the journey towards business success is a continuous one, and understanding your KPIs is crucial. For more resources and info, go to conquernow.com.